Hello, Debug here. I'm following up on the project I did about enums, just to mention some changes that I've made. So before I had a size t variable inside of the namespace that's created. It's called like st member count or something, but really I didn't need that. I already had Sentinel anyway, which is the count, so I just got rid of that. Also, something else I did, my super enum, instead of making it so this needs to be called, where is it, parse enum member names, I made it so that there is a dummy instantiator class, I called it, that gets created, and in its constructor it calls that method, or that function inside the namespace for you. And then I construct an instance of that class so that the constructor is called, thereby calling this. I had to flag that as volatile because the compiler was actually optimizing it out, since I'm not actually using this or referencing it anywhere. I can show that as well. Maybe I will. So right here you can see I have it commented out. I'm going to run it real quick and you'll see it still works. So that's still fine, I'm dandy. Okay, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so it's not volatile. And you'll witness a crash here. Or not. Just despite me. Well, before it was causing a crash, because it wasn't actually creating that object. It was just optimizing it away. Whatever. Who knows what's changed since then. But continuing on from this, I wanted to show some more things you can do with preprocessor macros. In particular, I wanted to show things you could do to make formatting easier. So I'm going to define some new macros. Let's do define. I'm going to say debug printf. Okay. And what I usually do here is I do fh for file handle, triple dot. I put it on a new line, and I'm going to say fprintf. It doesn't have to be fprintf. I could do a C++ version of it, and maybe I will. Maybe I'll do standard v format 2, and you can pass it some output handle, right? I'll say out, right? So you can do that, and then I can say, I guess, format string. Alright, format string. And then va args. I'm going to put that inside make format args. You could just as easily do this, or you could also just, instead of that, you could do printf, and you could say output handle, right? Is going to be format string args. That's also just as valid. Flush out, and then anything else I wanted to do. Right. I like to make it so that the line number is also included. So I'm going to say put it in brackets. I'm going to say the file name here, colon, and then the line number I'm going to say is a PRI64. And I'm just going to, let's see, do line for that. Static cast unit64t. Okay, and for the actual file name, it is just __ file __. Cool. I'll do a little space after that, and it's going to print out the string you gave it. So I'm actually going to put this over here. I'll comment this version of it out for now. I have IOStream, but I want to include format. It's also going to have like v format. Format 2. I'm also going to include iterator, so I can use this to a reasonable handle. I could also do this, just include print. I'm kind of tempted to do that since I'm on Visual Studio and I can actually use that. Well, I kind of want this to be compatible with people's compilers though, so I think I'm going to hold off on this. I don't know. I mean, there is this version people can use. I'll just use the newest version since it's easier to use anyway. I'll do it this way. let's not worry about this version. Let's do it real simple. I'm just going to say standard print, and for this, it doesn't seem like you need to have any kind of constant format string, or constant expression format string. So I'm just going to do this, va args, and I need sc format string. And that should also work just fine. Std cout, I'm going to say std flush. Before I do that even, I'm going to say standard print. I'm going to do out, and the format string is going to be file name : line with a space. Okay, and then for the arguments, I actually want to do file name. Let's just file. Oops, and then line. And this will automatically convert these to, strings based on the type. So I don't need to do anything special there. This is a lot easier than this version. Yeah. Anything else I think I should look at? I think that's probably okay. So now, what I like to do for this is not just have a debug printf where I can print things out and have the line number whatnot, is I like to make it so I can actually not even compile this code at all and have it not exist, even though I'm actually typing the code. So instead of having to do like if, we want to display debug information, then debug printf, and you have like std cout, then we have something like blah, right? Blah again, blah blah. Instead of having this and constantly checking whether or not we should be printing it everywhere, what I'll do is I'll actually make a test here. So like if debug mode, right? It could be just some define that I have, right? Or if define debug mode. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to define this like that, okay? Else, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say define debug printf ... and then indif. So what it's saying is every argument is variadic. You can have any number of arguments, 0 to infinity, it doesn't matter. Whatever you put in there, it's just going to be replaced with nothing. So that's if debug mode is not defined. So I'm going to say debug printf, so you can see. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. And if I look at what it expands to, hold on a second. Okay, browsing operations around this macro may fail. Okay, well, you can't replace it with anything, so maybe that's why it's complaining. Anyway, I'm not too concerned about that. I'm going to actually define debug mode now. Yeah, define debug mode. Okay. Now if I go here, what's it going to give me? Why is this being a little pain here? Improperly terminated macro invocation. Oh, oops, jeez. And that should be fine, right? Here we go. So it expands to print whatever. And let's get rid of this, not define debug mode. And it expands to nothing. So I could type literally anything I want in here, and it's just not even going to exist when it's compiled. It's just going to remove the code. So that's great. It's going to run faster. The executable size is going to be smaller when I'm not debugging. I can't accidentally print something out that I don't want the end user to see. So it's good for security. This is a great way to do it. And we can take this even a step further, which I'm going to show, where we can have different types of like filters for things that we print out. But first, I just want to actually use this. So I'm going to show it being used. If I go down here, I'm going to say debug printf. I'm going to say, I don't know, this is only a, put brackets here, put line break, I'm going to say test. And the output handle is going to be standard, oops, not standard, that's going to be standard cout. Okay. Why is it doing that? I do have IStream included, right? Yeah, I do. I don't know why it's like fighting me there with that. So, print just on inverse. Okay, well, for that, like I said, I'm going to need to use a very new version of C++. The newest I can use is 20, but there's preview from the latest draft, which should have C++ 2023, which includes print right here, standard print. Standard print. Okay, let's try and run that. Okay, and what do we have? This is only a test right here. And you can see it actually shows the position in the code where that's at. And if I was running this in Visual Studio Code, I could actually like hold control and left click that, and it would make me jump right to the line where that happened. Because it has an integrated console. Kind of nice. And I'm going to try making it so that that's not defined, and we'll see what actually happens. You can see now that code's not even in there. It doesn't print anything out now. It's just not even part of the code anymore. So that's super cool. So another thing you can do, that I like to do, is make it so there's like a way to print things out that is based on whether or not some flag is set. So like maybe I have something like, I'll do an enum here. In fact, I can even do a super enum. Let's make something like, I don't want to do it right now. I'll make this real simple. Super enum impl, I'm just going to say, I don't need to share this across the whole project. And then I'm going to have the namespace, call it ns, something like, I don't know, debugging output. Okay, debugging output is the name of the enum, and then for the members of the, actually I need the type. The type's going to be uint8t, I'll say. I don't have that many of them. Okay, and then I'm going to do, let me think here for a second. I actually need to define this. Oh, yeah, you know, fine. I'm going to find this down here. I mean, I could for the whole project. Jeez. I want to make this simple, but sometimes you can't make everything simple. So let's say I'm doing things like, I don't know, file handling. I want output for that, right? That's going to be my 0 or something. I might even put a dummy in here, like dummy. I'm going to say encryption, maybe. So like maybe like I can load from a database or write to it. I want it to sometimes show debugging information if I'm having problems with that. Maybe like certain things are encrypted, like network traffic or something, and I want to debug that kind of thing happening. Maybe I want to do something like, I don't know, SSH or SSL validation, right? I'm doing something with SSL certificates and making sure that it's coming from a valid source or something, or maybe, I don't know. There could be any number of things that my project's doing that I need to log. Maybe network connections, right? I could even say like client connections. I don't know. Anyway, I could have all these different types. So this right here is going to have the value 0, right? This is going to have the value 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Anyway, what I could do here is I could have an expanded version of this macro. So instead of just debug printf, what I could do is I could have debug printf with, I don't know, filter type, let's call it. And I can say if constexpr filter type, and I'm going to say, and, let me think about that. I'll put all this in there. Right. Really, I don't need a semicolon, because when you call it, you're probably going to put one anyway. Okay. Filter type and. Probably something like I have some kind of global filter that I've defined, or maybe like I have a definition that's called like debugging output filters. So I define this. I'm going to say define this, and I'm going to say based on my enum, where did I define that? Right, debugging output. Okay. What I can say is this is going to equal colon colon, and then maybe I have something like go back to that. Maybe I want to log out my file handling and encryption or something. So I'm going to say file handling, or I want to say actually 1 shift to the left of that at times, right? I have to actually static cast that into an integer I could use. Or do I? I don't, because the super enum is already automatically convertible to an integer, the way I defined it. Because I'm using like the C-style way of doing that, with the C++ way of specifying the storage class specifier for each of the types in there, so I can specify the range that I want. Okay, so that should already be convertible to an int. So I'm going to shift 1 to the left a number of times. By the value. So I'm shifting shifting 1 to the left, whatever the value is, times. This would be 0 times, this would be 1 time, 2 times, so on and so forth. Yeah. Call it none, maybe. I'm trying to think here. So I have 1 here. This would actually set bit 2. Wouldn't it? Yeah, let's hit bit 2. I'm just going to leave it like this. So I'm shifting left 0 times, then it's just going to be 1. So that's the bit in that position. Okay. And then let's say or. I'm going to do 1 shifted left, ns debugging, output. I'm going to say encryption. Okay. I need to do a backslash here to keep the macro going. So I've essentially specified what filters I want. And if I want, I could even do something like this, since it's also a constant expression. I could say const, I don't know, uint, at, call it g ui8 debugging output filters equals, and I could do the same stuff here. Do that, except I don't need a backslash now. And that's fine. So I could have my macro use this either way. So if this filter type that I'm specifying for this debug attempt matches, it has this flag in there, then we're going to do all of this. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I think about this. Filter debug printf, let's call it. Okay. So this isn't happy right here for some reason. Did I make a change to the previous debug printf? Oh, did I not put a semicolon maybe? No, I did. So what's changed? I have the output handle, the format string, triple dot. And I have filter debug printf. So why is this a problem? Operator this matches whatever. Did I mess with that? I don't think that I did. I didn't mess with any of that, so why is that a problem right now? Does this have... yeah, it does, okay. Otherwise, I also need to define this. Another periodic function. No arguments, okay. Yeah, I want to see what it actually complains about here. Encryption, undeclared identifier. It shouldn't be, because I defined it over in enums inside of ns debugging output. And the scope of this should be the entire ns debugging output namespace. I mean, I could stick that in there, but I shouldn't need to do that. Anyway, whatever. I'll give that a try. Undeclared identifier. Really? Let's make sure I define that correctly. So namespace, the name of the enum, the type, and then the member names. Yeah, that should be right. So in one case it's going to implement, let's say, okay, implement project enums. Okay, and then over here in main, I'm gonna do that when I include this. Where am I including this? Oh, that's why. I defined my enum a little bit too high here. I'm going to leave that up there, though, debug mode. Do I need that anymore? No, not for now. Okay, now let's try and run this. Right, so that works. And yeah, like I said earlier, I shouldn't really need to do this, because this is already in that namespace. The scope of it should already have that in there. You can see right there, encryption. It's more explicit if I put those in, so I'll leave it in there, I guess, but let's add these debugging filters. Why is it still like that? Like, it does run. Some kind of IntelliSense issue, I guess. Okay, let's do debug printf. Filter, is it? Or filter in front? Okay, filter. And then it's going to be standard cout. I'm going to do something like, the filter types first, right? So I want to do this only if I'm filtering with ns debugging output, how about only if I'm doing file handling? And this will be some message like unable, or attempting to, let's say, attempting to load the file, you know, tacos.txt, whatever, right? Something like that. And in fact, probably I'd be doing this inside of a format string. Whole reason I'm using this, right? And there's my argument, because it's a variadic function. So if I'm filtering for file handling, then it'll display this. And you can see here, this is only a test. Okay. We did not get this. Now, I think that I did specify I wanted file handling. I did. So we're ORing that in, and we're also ORing this in. Okay. Right, so I need to do, sorry about that, one shifted left by the filter type. That way it's matching up the bits. Okay, let's give that a run. Okay, and that worked. Attempting to load the file tacos.txt. You can see it gives the file name, the number, and all that stuff. Now let's try and filter based on something that I'm not using, right? So I'm going to say, instead of that, how about SSL validation or something? Now it shouldn't print, because I'm not using that filter. See, it's not there anymore. So I do this sort of stuff in large projects that I make. It makes my life a whole lot easier, because I can filter on things that I change, and how do I want to say this? I can basically leave my debugging code in full time, and if I ever need to make a change somewhere, I basically allow the filter for that section of my project to dump stuff again. And I won't always log it to cout like this. Sometimes I'll have like a either a global file handle, or I'll have some kind of a I don't know, an object that I'm passing around this global that has some kind of global state that I can use to get the handle that way. And maybe I'll dump it to a log file or something. That's typically how I'd like to log something in debug mode. It's either log it over a network to some kind of a monitor, or I'll log it to a log file, especially if it's something that's running on like a end user's computer, and I'm trying to diagnose a problem they're having. Log files really help, especially if it's multi-threaded. Of course, you have to have a new texture locking when you're logging these things to the file. And sometimes that ends up hiding errors too. Like, you'll have these situations with a race condition if you're not careful, and just the fact that you're doing logging that depends on a mutex might, I don't know, just as a side effect, cause a race condition not to occur. Anyway, this, I hope, helps. It's something you should consider adding to your projects. And I'm really looking forward to C++ 23 being implemented in more compilers, so I can actually use this version of it in more places. But for where you can't, you can do this just as well in C using these functions. This doesn't lend itself very well to cout, but you could very well make a version of this that uses standard format 2. And this would depend on some kind of, what is it, OS stream, I think it was. Can I remember that? Let's see. Include iterator. See if I can remember. Haven't done this again in a while, so it would be something like standard OS stream iterator. That's what it is, of type char. I'm going to call it out, and it's going to be initialized with standard cout. And in this case, you would just do the other version of it, right, that has the, right here, this. And that should work exactly the same way as print. So I'll just show that real quick. I've added a different version of this macro. The format string is going to be, this is, and I'll say, really something. Okay. And anything else I need to worry about there? I think that's probably good. Let's try that out. So, where does it say it? Yeah, this is really something. I forgot the line break. I'll add that in, I guess. Like that. Okay. Alright, it says this is really something with line break. So, I mean, I could just as well define this, right? And in my debug printf, instead of using standard cout like this, I would just be using out. Oops, not pit, out, like that. And using that instead. So that would be your C++ 20 version, if you wanted that. Maybe I'll just add an implementation for that real quick, because it'll only take me a second, right? I'll call this cpp20 underscore debug printf, right? And this one's going to use the other version of it right here. So let's do that real quick. Where is it? This one. Okay. Okay, output, we're going to do, yeah, both. So I need to do it here. And then over here, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. It's going to be, I'm just going to steal this right here from the other one. Okay, and then for the file and line, that needs to go in the make format args. Okay, and then continue the macro, end it right there. Yeah, okay. And let's try that over here. Instead of the version I have right now with this, or just after it, I'm going to say something like this. It's going to go to out, and it's going to go to, I'm going to steal those. Okay, what did I mess up? Type erasure. Let me look at what's expanding to. I'll expand in line. What is that creating? So format to out. Okay. It's going to make format args. Name of the file and the line it's on. Okay. That's ending this view format thing. And it's also doing format to out. Format args. Ooh, make format args twice. I see. That's definitely a mistake there. Okay. Oops. Let's go to that definition. Okay. So in both cases, it's doing that. Right, okay. So in this case, what am I doing here? Oh, right here. Okay. I don't need to do that when I'm calling the macro. Okay, that should work. And let's see. This is really something, and now it shows the line number in the code. So yeah, that'll work for versions of C++ 20 and greater. And this other version I have down here and here should work for C++ 23 and greater. And if you do the really old version, I have right here, this version would work with just standard C, right? Except for this part, you'd have to cast it differently. You would just do a standard C cast there. Whatever. Anything else I wanted to say about this? I guess I'll just show one more time that I can not define bug mode, and all that debugging output is going to go away. So, infer not found. Right, so I didn't actually define that for the case where there's no debug mode, right? Just got to define it here as just replacing with nothing. So in all these cases, if you don't actually have debug mode defined, it's going to just not stick that code in. The code's going to get deleted. So, okay. I'll leave that in, and I'll push this back up to my GitHub branch so people can play with it if they want. Yeah, so if anyone has any comments on how I can improve this, or criticisms on maybe reasons not to do this, I'd like to hear that. If you have any positive comments, I'd obviously love to hear that too. And just in general, if you liked what I did here and learned something from it and enjoyed it for any reason, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. I'll catch you guys later.